Now, I think it's pretty safe to say that the future of the Star Wars franchise seems to be very expansive, not just when it comes to their TV shows and movies, but we're also focusing on their books, novels, comics, video games, and more to come by Disney and Lucasfilm. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Also, make sure to check me out at Mike01 on Twitter. Now, when we go ahead and examine what Dave and Jon are really trying to develop, they are really trying to create this new expanded universe that's going to feature a lot of aspects from Star Wars Legends. Now, Legends was a big deal back in the 1990s and the early 2000s, featuring stories about Thrawn, Palpatine, Luke, Leia, and his children. A lot of that was the big deal about the Star Wars Legends era. Now, when we go ahead and see what Disney has done over the past couple of years since 2015, you know, they only have not done the greatest job with the sequel trilogy, all because of Kathleen Kennedy not really allowing the fandom to get what they wanted to get in the sequels, but also the fact that Kathleen Kennedy was very misguided as a president. She didn't really know what she was doing at all, she didn't care about the fans, and that was only setting herself up for failure, basically. Now, jump ahead now to 2021, we're basically midway through this year already, time just flies. We're at a stage in which The Bad Batch is doing very well, it's very successful, we're going on episode 6 and 7, and it's crazy to think that we're almost halfway through this entire series already, because it's going to end with episode 16 this August, so that's not too far away. Before then we get The Bad Batch, or should I say the Book of Boba Fett, then in December after that. So that's another thing to look forward to as well. However, what's really intriguing all has to do with what George Lucas recently initiated for the future of the Star Wars franchise and what it really means for the Skywalker legacy and its impact on the sequels. So with that being said, since the very end of the sequel films, both Disney and Lucasfilm have been forming a plan to bring back many of the lost Star Wars fans that walked away from the franchise back in 2019. Now, it's described that creator George Lucas recently made a major decision for the Star Wars franchise and is giving both Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni full permission on how to execute this new plan for the Skywalkers. Lucas is described to have created a storyline to be used in the Mandoverse, and new Star Wars TV shows for the future that is set to feature the son of Luke Skywalker in order to continue the Skywalker legacy in an unexpected way for the fans to enjoy, that they are planning to make happen as early as 2023. Now, further, it's described that both Jon and Dave are currently setting plans to have multiple new Skywalkers in different eras for the new canon, and that this was passed down by George Lucas to be done. However, Luke's son will not be named Ben Skywalker like how he was in Legends, and will have to be given a brand new name entirely in order to avoid confusion with Ben Solo from the sequel films. Lucas, Favreau, and Filoni are currently also planning development of a series of books for 2022 that will first tease the son of Luke Skywalker before he is actually set to be unveiled, sometime by the end of 2023 in some way, shape, or form, in live action, of course. Now, this most likely alludes to one of the unannounced TV shows that takes place years after The Mandalorian Season 2 that will be unveiled this fall. Other Skywalkers, such as Rey's children, as we had discussed before in the past for a post-Episode 9 era, are also currently in the works. However, the son of Skywalker is a big step in the right direction for Disney in order to keep the Skywalkers relevant and to reframe the character of Luke. Lucas is said to have hated the idea by Disney that Luke never had a child and is actually planning to create a tragic story involving Luke's family in order for things to tie up with the sequels. So, everything is starting to connect like a puzzle now. All the pieces are coming together. The reason why I say that is because we recently talked about Mara Jade and how Karen Gillan is set to portray the character, all thanks to Jon Favreau, because she was involved in the MCU as Nebula. She did a fantastic job as Nebula, I must add. She's a great actress. She also does a fantastic job in Jumanji. So, given that Favreau is a fan of her on both ends in the MCU and Jumanji, that's exactly why he chose her to portray Mara Jade. Not just because of that, but she also has that big, similarity or resemblance to Mara Jade. So, how George Lucas is trying to implement a tragic story involving Luke, starting off as a very happy story in future Mandoverse episodes, as I like to call the Mandoverse, being, of course, not just the Mandalorian TV series, but any TV show connected to that timeline, if that makes sense. So, they're going to be exploring the life of Luke's family, not just in the Mandalorian series in the future, but also in other TV shows that have yet to be announced that will be in November of this year. Keep your eyes open for that. So, the fact they have to avoid naming the character Ben Skywalker makes a lot of sense also. You can't really have two Bens in the solo Skywalker family. It would be far too confusing for the casual fans and newer fans that are just coming into the franchise. It just wouldn't really help them. So they're going to have to create a brand new name for this mystery Skywalker that is currently being designed by Jon, George, and Dave. And by the way, this was all initiated by George Lucas because George always had a lot of issues with Disney making Luke the way that he was in the sequels, as opposed to how he was in Star Wars Legends, where, you know, he's got the whole family. He's got Mara Jade, he's got Ben, and it was a very interesting and satisfying story for Luke. You know, training his son to become a Jedi and all these crazy things. It just worked, and it kept the Skywalker family alive and well. That's exactly what George wants to keep alive as well. And there's going to be multiple different points in time in this new universe that's going to feature new Skywalkers. We talked about this lightly before, around 6 months ago, that in different eras there will be new Skywalkers, such as the post-Episode 9 era featuring Rey's children, such as the prequel era, as I like to call it, before Episode 1, but after the High Republic. They're also going to be introducing Shmi Skywalker's parents and exploring that side of the story, where the Skywalker's roots really came from. And then they're also going to explore a lot of other aspects that are more in line with something like this, with the whole Ben Skywalker aspect, you know, except being named differently and designed differently. Let's just hope that they stick to the character very close. I'm just crossing my fingers. Again, guys, next year, 2022, cannot wait to talk about it. We're going to be seeing exactly what the new Skywalker is going to look like as far as comics go, or graphic novels, or whatever it may be, books, novels, etc., to tease exactly what Luke's son is going to look like. And then eventually they're going to slowly build it up to throwing him in the form of live action. I guess the books are their way of testing the waters to see how the fans are going to react to this character and this major decision. So, like I said before in the past, guys, you know, drop a comment below. Let me know about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.